Eastern Conference games tonight on Wednesday in the NBA play-in round. We had the two Western Conference games last night on Tuesday. Now we've got the Eastern teams playing. I'm going to break both games down for you in full detail and let you know how to play both of these games and make some money tonight on Wednesday. Heat 76ers and Hawks Bulls coming up free for you here in just a moment. Hi, this is Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, back here on WagerTalk TV. And don't forget, if you want to see preview videos for every round, every day of the NBA playoffs, for the next 2 months, be sure to comment below and let me know if you're finding it useful, and I'll keep doing it. Once again, comment below. I read all the comments, and I reply back here on Wager Talk TV. All right, the Western Conference play-in games are in the books. LA Lakers got the win last night. Not a come from behind. The game was pretty much even throughout. Zion Williamson getting hurt, obviously a huge blow for the New Orleans Pelicans. Lakers get the number 7 spot. New Orleans will now have to beat Sacramento. The winner of that game will get the number 8 spot, and it was a disappointing showing by the Golden State Warriors, who went from a 2 to 3 point favorite during the week. Came up short, man, losing by 24 points, but Sacramento was red hot from 3-point range, and I said the Golden State-Sacramento game was just like the NCAA tournament. It's a one and done, and they got to keep winning now to advance, and live and die by the 3-point shot. That's what we saw, that one-off scenarios in the NCAA tournament, and that's what the Kings did on Tuesday night to pull the upset. Which team will be hot from 3 tonight on Wednesday? Well, that'll probably be the difference in both of these games. Let's start with your first game, though, at 7 o'clock Eastern on TNT and True TV. Both games tonight, once again, on TNT and True TV. And it's the Miami Heat and the Philadelphia 76ers, two very dangerous teams playing in this 7-8 game. Now, of course, Philadelphia finished the number 7 seed because they were with Embiid for a couple of months down the stretch. Otherwise, they are easily not in the play-in round. In fact, Philadelphia finished 17 games behind the Celtics along with two other teams. They could have been anywhere from 5th to 6th to 7th. They lost the three-way tiebreaker, so now they have to win to get in, and they have been winning to say the least. In fact, Philadelphia enters this on a 8-game winning streak straight up, and they've covered 10 games in a row. And obviously this has coincided largely with the return of Joel Embiid a couple weeks ago. And when we dig deeper, we see one of those recent wins was back on April 4th, just less than 2 weeks ago, when they went to Miami as a 2.5-point dog and won outright 109-105. Really nothing misleading about that win. Embiid played for the Sixers. He had 29 points, an excellent game there. Only had 4 rebounds, though, so a little bit strange. I expect a better rebounding effort tonight. Jimmy Butler, though, was in the lineup for the Heat. He was their second leading scorer with 20 points. Rozier actually had 22 as the leading scorer. When we dig deeper into the box score, we see that Philadelphia had a 16-point lead in the game, but they actually blew that lead, and they were trailing going into the fourth quarter before they pulled away for the 4-point win. I felt like they were the better team overall in that game. They were only 35% from three-point range, whereas Miami was only 30%. That's one of the reasons the game stayed under the total by about a couple baskets. It landed 214. Actually, I'm sorry, it went over by a basket. It landed 214. The total was only 212, and now we see an even lower total here of 208, 207 and a half. By the way, I want to point out both games easily went under last night on Tuesday in the Western Conference play-in round. Lakers totaled 216, and that Sacramento game totaled just 212. Both totals were in the 222 to 224 range. As I mentioned on yesterday's video, NBA playoff games on average for several decades now have been a couple points lower scoring than regular season games, as we do see more defensive intensity, even lower scoring in Game 7s and elimination games in general. And of course, the 7-8 game is not technically an elimination game because the winner is in, the loser has one more chance on Friday to win. But the 9-10 game, the Atlanta-Chicago game, is definitely a one-and-done scenario. You must win, and then they have to win again on Friday. So over the years, we have seen the unders cash in these types of games, but I think this total is priced pretty appropriately. Had to play this one, I would lean towards Philadelphia minus the 4.5, although most sports books heading into Wednesday morning have now moved to minus 5. Once again, the Sixers have been as good as anybody in the league with Embiid back in the lineup. Miami, meanwhile, has played good down the stretch. This is a team that's gone 7-3 straight up their last 10. But you look at those losses, they lost by 19 points against Dallas, a good playoff caliber team. They lost at Indiana by 2, another playoff team. And they lost, of course, by 4 as a home favorite, as I mentioned, against the Sixers. So they haven't exactly stepped up in class. Their losses have all been against playoff caliber teams. Meanwhile, Philadelphia's played some weak teams overall, but they just beat Orlando by 12, beat Miami, as I mentioned, also beat Oklahoma City right before that. Just feel like Philly's a better team. Both teams are in good current form. Miami, by the way, speaking of over-unders, they have now gone over the total in 9 of their last 10 games overall, and they've actually been playing pretty good defense. The pace has been faster, so that's something else to keep an eye on with this over-under. It's a few baskets lower than just a few weeks ago, yet Miami has gone over in the majority of their games. I believe it's 9 of the last 10 now have gone over. So kind of conflicting on the total here. These play-on games obviously have been lower scoring. We saw that last night with both games staying well under, but Miami has been more of an up-tempo team here in recent weeks. That's your early game at 7 o'clock Eastern. The 9:30 Eastern game is the 9-10 game between two teams that have losing records this season, Atlanta, Chicago. One of them will advance to Friday to play the loser of the Miami-Philly game. So once again, this is just like that Golden State-Sacramento game. It's a one and done. It's like handicapping the NCAA tournament, which means three-point variance will likely play a large role in this game. Both teams shoot around 36% from three. Atlanta's been a weaker defensive team across the board. And Atlanta, keep in mind, is one of the worst point spread teams in the history of the NBA. They're 29-53 against the spread this year, 10 games below 500 straight up, 15-26 on the road versus 21-20 at home. So they've been even worse on the road, just 14-27 ATS. Meanwhile, Chicago, though, 20-21 straight up, 18-22 at home against the spread. So it's not like they've been world beaters either. All things equal, though, I think I'd rather have Chicago in this situation. And the sharp money has gone from 3 up to 3 minus 115 in some of the leading indicator books. So it does look like we're getting closer to maybe some 3.5s by tip-off. This is the late game at 9:30 Eastern on Wednesday night. Had to play this game, actually. I think the total might be the best option. And once again, I mentioned that in general, we see more unders in these playoff elimination type games. But if you look at the Chicago Bulls, they've been playing pretty poor defense recently. They've given up over 50% shooting, or actually 49% shooting or worse in 5 of their last 7 games, 47% or worse in 6 of their last 7. And then you've got an Atlanta Hawks team that has gone over the total in 12 of their last 15 games. They're 12-3 over their last 15. They enter here on a 6-game losing streak. They're also just 1-6 ATS their last 7. So definitely don't trust the Hawks. They've been a terrible point spread team. I don't know if they can just flip a switch, but one thing that's been consistent all year is they've been an awful defensive team. So a little bit of against the contrary trend here with these defensive efforts in these elimination games. I think this total is priced too low. In fact, the betting market agrees. 219.5 is where it opened. And heading into Wednesday morning, we already see 221.5s, even some 222s starting to pop. Using games just for the regular season would have a total in the 230 range. So once again, I know these games can tend to be lower scoring in the playoffs, but I think the odds makers have vastly over-adjusted for that recent trend. This line is about 8 to 10 points lower than it should be based on the regular season numbers. And keep in mind, the last meeting back on April 1st was just 221. Chicago has played slower at times recently, but the 2 meetings before that in February and December, 240 and 238, nearly 20 points higher than this current line of 221.5. I think there's actually some value with the over in this game, even though that goes against the normal opinion that defensive intensity shows up in these type of games. I think the odds makers have over-adjusted here. Atlanta, a bad defensive team. Chicago struggling defensively as well. I think there'll be some points in this one at 9:30 Eastern tonight on Wednesday. Hey, those are your 2 games tonight on Wednesday. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How are you playing them? Where do you see value? Any player props you like? Throw in some analysis as well. Let's learn and earn and win together here on WagerTalk TV. Don't forget, if you're liking these videos, I'm going to do them each day of the playoffs for the next 2 months. Just comment below. Let me know if you're finding them useful, any other content you would like to see. As far as the public consensus data, really nothing on either game. That's why I didn't bring it up. Public pretty neutral on the sides and totals in both games so far. Don't forget, thumbs up, like, goes a long way to keeping the great content free here on WagerTalk TV. And make sure you've clicked subscribe so you're part of the family. And when you do so, hit the bell as well so you know when this video goes up each and every day for the next 2 months during the NBA playoffs. Hit subscribe and hit the bell for instant alerts so you can be the first to watch and take advantage of this actionable info. If you like my personal best bets, now's a great time to get on board. I'm #1 all time in the history of WagerTalk.com and units won for the NBA. Also #1 once again this season on NBA best bets. Get the rest of the playoffs the next 2 months for one low price. Right now, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. I've got an advanced play posted for this Saturday already for one of the playoff series. We're talking play-in right now, but the playoff series are set as well for many matchups. And I've isolated a nice winner for this Saturday. I posted it early for all my clients. You can get it right now on my page. And of course, you get it when you are a direct client with either the NBA playoff package or the All Sports All Access, which gets baseball and basketball every day as well. On a nice 70% run the past several nights. And don't forget about the free plays as well. I post a free play each and every day on my page, so check those out right now. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Get there quicker with shortcut WT.buzz/SM. Follow me on Twitter and X at Steve Merril, 2 R's, 1 L, at Steve Merril on Twitter and X. Also post free plays throughout the week on Instagram, so follow me on IG along with Wager Talk. And stay tuned right here to Wager Talk TV for more great basketball and baseball preview videos coming up next.